My name is Jessica Chiddister, and today we're going to take a look at the Grady High School data review of Georgia 9th grade ELA milestones. The purpose of this presentation is to give an overview of achievement in the 9th grade literature milestones for Grady High School over the last 3 years. This presentation analyzes the trends in scoring over these 3 years. In addition, the presentation analyzes the changes in populations and demographics during this time frame. This presentation will analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the scores and discuss possible ways to improve scores. In addition, we're going to take looks at the next steps and what we can do to help improve student learning and increase engagement. So here is the graph for student enrollment from 2013 to 2016. So in 2013, the number of students enrolled at Grady High School was 1,403 students, and it has grown slightly to 1,465 in 2016. Our school growth has not been consistent, with student enrollment dropping from 2014 to 2013. In addition, enrollment dropped slightly from 2015 to 2016. In addition, the changes in population from year to year is not dramatic. Over the course of 4 years, our population has only grown about 65 students, which is the equivalent of about 2 classes. So an overview of Grady High School. Grady High School serves over 1,400 students in 9th through 12th grade. The school is in an urban setting and is located in downtown Atlanta. The demographics are changing, especially in regards to socioeconomics. The school lost Title I funding in 2016 to 2017 due to having not enough students qualify for free and reduced lunch. We are the only high school in the Atlanta Public Schools Grady cluster, and our only feeder middle school is Inman Middle School, located very, very close to the high school. Here's a look at our student populations. As you can see, the largest ethnic group in our school is currently African American. These numbers have stayed fairly consistent over the last 3 years. In 2014, 56% of students were African American, and in 2016, 51% of students were African American. So we've had a small decrease in our enrollment of African American students. Our other demographics have stayed fairly consistent as well. We've had a slight increase in the enrollment of white students from 33% in 2014 to 36% in 2016. In addition, we've had a slight increase in our enrollment of Hispanic students from 2014 to 2015. We went from 5 to 6%. And then in 2016, our amount of Hispanic students has remained 6% of the Grady High School population. So here's a breakdown of our current 2016 student population. This is the most recent information from the Georgia Governor's Report Card. So in 2016, our population has consisted of 51% African Americans, 36% non-white Hispanic, 6% Hispanic, and 7% of students have identified themselves in the other category. This includes mixed race students and Asian students as well. Here's a look at our overall gender population of Grady High School in 2016. You can see we have a few more females than we do males, with females being 53% of the population and males being 47% of the population out of our 1,465 student body. As you can see here, there hasn't been much movement in socioeconomic status of our students. In 2014, we were at 38% low income, while in 2015 and 2016, 37% of our students were free and reduced lunch. Because we have been below the 40% marker for 3 consecutive years, we have lost Title I funding and have lost several programs along the way to help improve achievement for low-income students. So as I said, today we're going to be taking a look at the Georgia milestones, particularly 9th grade ELA. So the Georgia milestones is a standardized test taken in a variety of subjects. At our high school, we currently take it in 9th grade literature, algebra 1, biology, geometry, American literature, American history, and economics. This test is issued at the end of the semester to any student who is enrolled in these classes. The test measures the skills and knowledge outlined in the Georgia Standards of Excellence. In addition, this assessment is also a major part of the student grade. For the second semester, this milestone assessment is worth 20% of their grade in the class. So it's very important for these students to do well in order to ensure they can pass the class too. So these tests are scored in 4 different levels. The first level is the beginning level. So these students need substantial academic support to be prepared for the next grade or the next course. So if we were using these assessments to determine promotion, students in this level would not be promoted to the next course. However, we don't use them to allow students to go to the next level, but it is an important indicator to see where they are. In addition, like I said, the test is worth 20% of their grade. So if they score in this beginning level category, it will significantly negatively impact their grade. So that's beginning level. This is not considered passing. Developing learner, these students need additional academic support to ensure success to the next grade, so they are also not quite where they need to be on grade level. This also is considered not passing. The next 2 scores are considered passing for the 9th grade ELA assessment. The first one is a proficient learner. So these students are prepared. They're on grade level. They're considered to be on track for college and career readiness. Basically, this is where we want students to be, proficient learners. Our next step is distinguished learners. So these are students who go above and beyond. Think exceeds expectations like we used to have on the CRCT. These students are well prepared for the next grade level and are well prepared for college and career readiness. In other words, these students are where they need to be and beyond it. So here's a look at percent of students who were at or above proficiency level when we compared Grady High School to Atlanta Public Schools in the state. So take a minute to look at our scores when compared to the district level and state level. What do you see? Grady consistently performs better than the district and state level when we compare the two. In addition, the year 2016 showed an increase in scores not only at Grady High School, but for Atlanta Public Schools as well. So you can see Grady is currently increasing, especially in 2016. And we are currently performing better than at the state or district when you compare our 9th grade ELA milestones assessments. All right, so here's a look at the students with disabilities when compared to the 9th grade ELA milestones. So this is one of the subgroups that I really want us to take a look at today. So go ahead and take a look at this chart and see about students with disabilities compared to students without disabilities and their performance in the milestones. What do you see? Hopefully you saw that this data shows that students with disabilities are struggling to gain proficiency on the 9th grade ELA milestones at Grady High School. In 2015, only 8% of students scored proficiency or higher on this exam. Although the school scores are high for this exam, special education test scores are significantly lower than the school average. So if you look, the students with disabilities only represent a small population of our school. Within 2016, 33 out of the 357 students were tested were students with disabilities. However, this is still a group we need to take a look at for improvement. In addition, I've broken down here the levels of achievement for students with disabilities compared to students without disabilities. And you can see the majority of beginning and developing scores, the students with disabilities were scored more in these beginner and developing levels than in proficient. And we had no distinguished learners for students with disabilities in 2016. I also have here a breakdown of ethnicity in 2016, 2015, and 2014. In 2016, of our 352 students tested, you can see that the majority of students who scored at or above proficiency level were Caucasian or white, with about 90% of students reaching this at or above proficiency. Our other groups were lower, with less than half of African American students passing at or above proficiency, and a little over half of our Hispanic students. Now, it's important to remember the Hispanic students, there aren't a lot. It's with only 6% of our population at Grady High School. However, our African American group is our largest ethnicity, but yet they are not scoring as high as any of the other subgroups. All right, this is based on gender. If you can see, our females performed better in 2014 and 2016, with a slight increase in male performance in 2015. In 2015, the scores were pretty comparable. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our students who are free and reduced lunch. And if you remember, out of our 1,465 school population, 37% of students are free and reduced lunch. So if you take a look at our graph, you can see how our non-economically disadvantaged students compare to our economically disadvantaged students. What do you see in this graph right here? Hopefully you've noticed that the students who are considered lower income have not been performing at the same levels. However, we did have an increase in scores for the 9th grade ELA milestones from 2015 to 2016. So this is a good increase here, but it's still not where we want it to be. There's a large gap. So, just some observations for ELA. In regards to our subgroups, our low-income students and students with disabilities are significantly behind the other subgroups. We need to work on closing these gaps of these two student groups and focus on aiding instruction to help these students. Some positive things to note in areas of strength: when you compare our scores to the state and district level, Grady High School scores are consistently higher on the 9th grade ELA milestone than the state and district average for Atlanta Public Schools. So now we need to take a look at what we can improve upon. So one of our biggest focuses should be on adding more proficient and distinguished learners and students with disabilities. We are working close to close the ELA gap between these subgroups. In addition, there needs to be a focus on helping to improve the scores for low-income students. So steps we need to look at, possibly an add-on literacy class. We could look at students maybe who aren't reading or performing on grade level and adding an extra support class for them. Intensified reading instruction in the classroom. Many of our students are not reading on grade level in the general education setting, both special education and non-special education students. So we could take a look at intensified instruction to help improve comprehension. Also, the possibility of one-to-one devices. One-to-one devices allow students to have more technology at their fingertips and the use of programs to help improve their reading skills. So if we were able to possibly purchase some one-to-one devices for students, we could use more programs like IXL, Study Island, Read Theory, and Reading Plus in the literacy classroom to monitor student progress. So overall, at the conclusion of this data overview, our population has remained steady in demographics and school size over the last few years. Our economically disadvantaged population has remained steady at around 37 to 38%. In 2016, our largest ethnicity group was African American students. So what else can we do to improve instruction for these students? Does anyone have any ideas or suggestions of what we can do to look at the data and kind of figure out which areas need more improvement and what are possible solutions for this? Thank you.